Let's go over to the Eagles, though, here. Dylan, we'll kick things off with you here. Miles Sanders, last year, obviously, the story it's right there. 0 touchdowns for Miles Sanders last year. Broke a lot of people's hearts. He was a fantasy darling heading into last season, and then ended up falling off. And I don't want to say falling off, but disappointing fantasy owners. How should fantasy owners this year feel about Miles Sanders?
I love Booby Sanders. My gosh. Miles Sanders. Are you kidding me? I mean, I know a lot of people are pissed off. He didn't find the end zone. It's an offense that didn't really get it done. Last year, the guy missed a few games throughout the course of the season. Right in the middle of the season, he missed some games. But this guy, when he got the carries, was in great shape. And something clicked about halfway through last year, right? They were 3-6. They realized, man, what we're doing with Kenneth Gainwell, shot on Aaron, and the way they throw the ball and everything in the first half didn't really work out. So about mid-season, once they were 3-6, they're like, man, we need to run the damn ball. And that's what they did. Right then, this is Miles. I mean, he was all over the place, right? Yards per carries were intense. Look, 4.93. I mean, 5.88, 5 yards per carry, 7.28. He gets great yards per carry. He gets great run. And you look at week 14, he was RB 14 there. It actually is 6 for 94. The 5.88 he had. That's against the New Orleans Saints, the number 1 rush defense last year. It doesn't matter his matchups. He did that against the number 8 defense, 131 yards, ripped that off. I don't care about that. I think this guy is built for a good season this year. And I know you can say what you want about Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell being there. When he gets the carries, he will be productive. And I believe he will get the carries this year because he's in a contract year. They're going to try to ride him all throughout the course of the year. And if any indication shows the way that they ran the ball towards the end of last year, they're going to start giving him that work. Hopefully he finds the end zone. I think it's something he could do. He only has 9 career touchdowns across 3 years. But all I'm saying is keep your close eye on Miles Sanders. He's not going to be an RB1, but maybe he could be an RB2 or at least a solid flex throughout the course of this year. I think he's being underdrafted where he's at right now. I think contract year volume alone should get him enough carries because those carries that he had towards the end of the year, 3 out of the last 5 weeks, he went hard.
Right now he's being drafted as the RB26.
Great take, Dylan. I agree with everything you said except for one thing. My only concern about Miles Sanders is the volume that he's going to get. I don't know if he can sustain. I don't know that I believe he can be a guy that gets the volume that I believe he should get. On the field, there's no debate. I think the dude is special, but he just doesn't make it through games. And I'm so I want Miles Sanders to break out because I do believe I've been a big Miles Sanders fan for the first 3 years of his career. And he lets me down every year, and I still go back to the well every year because I do see the potential. And you mentioned the games he had. I just worry. Like, he's the guy that gets you 9 carries and then sprains a toe, leaves the game, comes back in the fourth quarter, gets 2 more carries. And you're just, like, so frustrated with that. This is it to me. This is probably my last year on Miles Sanders. If it doesn't happen this year with the weapons they have on the outside, the spacing they do in their offense, and their running game with that offensive line, which is pretty good, then I'd probably give up on Miles Sanders. But everything you said about him is spot on.
He only had 21 red zone carries last season as well. Like, do you think that changes at all this season? Is that a stat that we could see change this season?
It's hard with a player like that because 21 red zone carries or whatever. He didn't have that many carries on the entire season. And then you talk about him missing. And you talk about missing 5 games. Like, I don't read too much into that. So you said he had 135 carries?
Yes.
So if he had 135 carries and 21 of those were red zone carries, that's a pretty decent percentage. That means a little over like a seventh of his carries were inside the red zone. I don't think there's anything to that. I think they'll use them by the goal line. It's not like they have some goal line back that they take his carries away. I don't know.
Boston Scott put 7 in the touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah, when Miles Sanders didn't play or when he was hurt, Boston Scott gets in the game.
Like, get in. AJ, Miles Sanders like Clyde in the red zone.
AJ, obviously, the addition of AJ Brown to this offense changes everything or adds a different layer to this offense, but the quarterback is still Jalen Hurts. You talked about it earlier on in the show with how you ranked A.J. Brown behind a Terry McLaurin because of Jalen Hurts' rushing ability and what he brings to the table at the quarterback position. How does Jalen Hurts impact A.J. Brown's fantasy production as a whole from what we are used to seeing him produce in Tennessee?
I mean, I just think it gives another level of dynamic playmaker when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Not to get me wrong, Ryan Tannehill, when he began, he could scramble a little bit. He'd get out of the pocket, do this and that here and there, but it wasn't the big threat. If the play broke down, sure, Ryan Tannehill could get loose. But Jalen Hurts is a guy you have to prepare for to take off as soon as the ball is snapped. We're talking about a guy who ran the ball double digits at least 7 times last season. This year, I think the whole point of getting an A.J. Brown was to be able to allow him to unleash his arm a little more. Jalen Hurts hasn't had the best stats when it comes to throwing the ball, only averaged 61% on completion rate last year. But I think that he's capable of better than that. We've seen him be great in college. We've seen the talent step up to the NFL. I think he's going to benefit this year from having the same play caller for the first time since high school. I think he's going to benefit from having weapons just about anywhere he looks. And then when it comes to the A.J. Brown factor, these guys have such a strong friendship. I believe that in a good way, they're going to try to force the issue. I'm not saying making dumb passes and throwing ones you shouldn't, but I think he wants to get A.J. Brown the ball. I think he wants A.J. Brown to show that he was worth the $100 million that they paid him. I think A.J. Brown wants Jalen Hurts to succeed. I think you're going to see a lot of these guys, A.J. Brown using his yards after catch to make Jalen Hurts look better. I think Jalen Hurts using his vision, his ability to get the ball to a big body like A.J. Brown will show some of the talent that A.J. Brown possesses. I'm very high on the Eagles as an entire offense this year, and honestly, as Jalen Hurts as a QB for fantasy purposes. I think he has top 5 potential this season.
I like how you brought emotion and mental stuff and like not other things other than the on-field stuff. Their friendship. He brought up their friendship.
Yeah, let me know the last time. Let me know the last time friendship helped you be more accurate as a quarterback. The only thing I'll say, there's one thing that I consistently worry about with Jalen Hurts, and it is the accuracy. I agree. Fantasy-wise, I don't think there's a debate here. Jalen Hurts is going to be one of the top fantasy quarterbacks because of his legs alone. He'll throw enough because he's a quarterback. The accuracy is a problem for me, though. Most quarterbacks, when you're inaccurate, you can't learn that. Like, it's just something you pretty much struggle with accuracy your entire career. We've seen it with guys before. Quarterbacks usually don't become more accurate. Usually accurate passers remain accurate passers. Jalen Hurts was not an accurate passer in college. He had the fortune of playing at Oklahoma his last year, which threw ball 2 yards down the line of scrimmage, which completed a lot of passes. But he's never been known as an accurate passer. So I worry about that in an NFL offense for longevity for him as a football player. But from a fantasy perspective, go draft him because he's going to put up fantasy points.
So what? And Aaron, you love to just absolutely shit on these types of questions, but I did, and I have seen some people concerned with A.J. Brown in fantasy this season. So shifting it to the A.J. Brown part of it, and they're concerned with what Jalen Hurts brings.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to those people that think that this might be a downgrade for A.J. Brown?
I don't think it's a downgrade. They're going to probably throw the ball a little bit more in Tennessee just because Tennessee is strictly a run offense. And let's not mince words here. It's not like Ryan Tannehill's accurate. He's one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL as well. So it's not like he's going from a super accurate quarterback to somebody that's inaccurate. I think the biggest thing that helps A.J. Brown to keep him from having that bad year is Jalen Hurts' escapability. There are going to be a lot of broken plays that are going to find A.J. Brown. Defenders get lost. A.J. Brown's going to catch the ball. And there might not be, outside of a Tyreek Hill and maybe a few others, there's not many guys that are better with the ball in their hands after the catch than A.J. Brown. He's a physical specimen. He's hard to tackle. He's got blazing speed, and he brings a lot after he catches the football. So I think what he loses in maybe opportunity because he was the only target in Tennessee, and now you have Devonta Smith, I think he gains in broken plays and just his physical prowess on the football field. And maybe there is a little bit of a connection there with Jalen Hurts that Jalen wants to get him the ball a little bit more.
It's good friendship.
Outside of maybe Dylan's point being correct a couple of weeks ago, maybe Philly decides to be run heavy. And if that's the case, if they turn into this, hey, we're going to run the ball a ton, and Jalen Hurts is still only going to throw 25 passes a game, that could hurt both him and Devonta Smith at that point.
Yeah.
That was one more point I wanted to bring up on Sanders. Essentially, you mentioned if they were to run the ball a little bit more, their defense is a lot better this year too. They could be in games where they do tend to run the ball a little bit later if they get leads, and I think that could help them. Last year, they were playing from behind a little bit. They were game scripted. Plus, their schedule's a cakewalk this year.
Is it?
Yeah. You want to read it?
We haven't got the schedule break. We haven't really got down to schedule breakdowns, have we?
Like they got the Lions,
close to the season.
Commanders, and Jags 3 of the first 4 weeks.
We talked about this when we first broke down the schedules when they came out. We all know this. Looking at a schedule is nice, but once the games start, that shit don't mean nothing. Because there's going to be 6 new playoff
Lions
teams
going to put
this
up
year.
numbers with them. Come on.